All right, day 3 in the books, Rube.
Yeah, we're going to have our first back-to-back days. So that's we had our first back-to-back
Yeah.
days, is what I mean. So that's exciting.
Yeah, no, it was fun. Saturday, bright and early. It was warm out today, but it wasn't too hot. Little breeze made it feel okay. Practices are getting longer. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice morning. They started at 10. It got a little hotter, but really the conditions were just about perfect. You're not going to get a lot of nicer training camp days. So that kind of was, it kind of worked out well that they had their longest practice yet. Look, it's still not 3 hours, but, you know, that's not going to happen. So they were on the field about an hour and a half. So it was 58 minutes the first one, an hour 15 yesterday, an hour and a half today. And, they really are quick pace practices. They get a lot done in the time that they're allotted. And I think you alluded to this earlier, that they don't stand around a lot. There's a lot of wasted time. So I think they're pretty efficient in the time they have.
Yeah, that's fair to say. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast, by the way. That's Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. We do have a bunch to get to today. I hope you guys are enjoying these daily pods during training camp. We have always plenty to talk about once we get to this time of year. We want to talk about Miles Sanders a little bit, what happened with him in the second team, the explanation for it, Miles' thoughts on the matter. He had something to say about it. Also, the observations from Saturday's practice. We're going to pick a few stock up, stock down guys after 3 full practices. And then we'll talk about some of the information that came out of the media sessions on Saturday. But let's start with Miles Sanders. We mentioned it on the podcast Friday. He didn't take any first team reps. He was with the second team. That happened. I mean, there's no way around that happening. It just did. Now, the reasoning behind it is fair to question. Nick Sirianni basically said, we rotate the running backs, and it just so happened that Miles Sanders, he said he basically made it seem like he didn't even realize Miles hadn't gotten any first team reps. Let's start there, Rube. What did you make of that explanation?
It was odd. I guess if you're, it sounded like there's a certain formula that they rotate. I mean, look, Boston Scott and Kenny Gainwell are going to play, and running backs differ because your backups are going to play, and they need to get reps with the first offense so when they're out there, they have a comfort level. It's not like your backup linebackers or guards or safeties or corners or most busy quarterback. They're not going to play. And if they do, it's not going to be very much. D-line, that's probably not the case. But, Boston Scott and Gainwell are going to play a lot. So they need to get first-team reps. That much I understand. Nick made it seem like it was a quirk of the rotation that every time Miles was up, it happened to be a second team. And he even said, I didn't realize that happened. And when I looked at it, it was just he made it sound like it was a quirk. And we'll see. I mean, because there's going to be a lot more practices. We'll see how many first team reps he gets. Nick made it clear. He said, I think 4 different times, Miles is our guy, which is what he said all along. But, I mean, Boston.
And by the way, nothing about Miles not taking first team reps made me think any differently about that. But it happened.
It happened.
It happened. Yeah. And I don't look. I don't understand the explanation. It doesn't make any sense to me. Nothing happens by accident out there when it comes to reps. They plan all this stuff out. When you're having an hour-long practice, you don't think they figured out who's taking first-team reps at that position?
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that's the case. Yeah, I think that's fair.
And I think a perfectly reasonable explanation for it is, Kenny Gainwell and Boston Scott are going to play. Why not give them a chance with the first team? And also, the last couple of practices, they have gone at times 1s versus 2s, 2s versus 1s. So, in fact, when Miles got those second team reps on Friday, he was going against the first team defense. So you can even make less of it. But the explanation to me just didn't really make sense.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. It was odd. Miles was mildly perturbed.
So I wasn't there for this if you guys probably, why would you know this? But at training camp, basically the way it works right now is they have a tent for press conferences, and then what they call a mix zone is basically just another interview area away from the tent. And Reuben and I there's 2 of us, so we split it up. One day I'm in the tent, one day I'm outside, one day he's outside, one day he's in the tent. And today you were outside, and that's where Miles was. No, that was right. Yeah. That's where Miles was. So I missed it. Was he really annoyed that we reported he was with the second team? Because I don't think anyone made any sweeping statements about him in the offense or about what it meant. But that's our job to report what happens at practice.
Yeah, of course it is. But he did get very snippy when he was asked about it, and he was like, "Which one of you guys reported that?" And then he brought it up later, and he was really chippy the whole press conference. And I like Miles, and I think Miles is a good player when he's healthy. But he asked, what he thinks he'll be. Look, this is a huge year for him. It's a contract year. I don't know if he'll be here next year. I don't know if he'll be healthy this year. He's got a lot to do to prove that he's a top back. He hasn't done that yet. Talent-wise, he is, but he talked about it. He talked about how he changed his offseason regimen to try to stay healthier. And all that said, when he was asked about his mentality for the summer, for training camp, he said, to try to earn some of the respect that nobody's giving me. And he said, like me running with the second team or something like that. And he brought it up the second time. So he was obviously not happy with that narrative. But you're right. It happened.
I don't even think it was a narrative.
Yeah, well, he didn't use it. That was my word, not his word. But it's not a narrative. It happened. It's a fact.
Yeah, and I 100% believe Nick Sirianni when he says Miles is our guy. He has to be. Kenny Gainwell and Boston Scott are fine players, but neither one of them is going to be the feature back in this offense. I don't think either of them you would want to be the feature back.
No, I think Boston can handle. I mean, Boston's played well in the games he started, maybe 7 or 8 of them. But if anybody's going to be a bell cow back on this team, it's Miles Sanders, and I think we all understand that. But the whole thing was weird, and once it's out there and once we see it and report it and tweet it and write about it, if Miles is there, we have to ask him about it. I mean, obviously he's going to be asked about it. He knew he was prepped for the question. But he didn't like the question, and the funny thing is that I think the person that asked the question did not make a big deal about it when it happened. So
yeah, and I actually think he's looked really good.
He has
in these first few training. He looked great with the second team on Friday, and he was going against the ones. I thought he looked really, and we'll talk about him when we get to the observations. But I think they made it a point to hand the ball off to him on the first play Saturday, and he looked great. He busted through the hole. He looks really strong, really powerful. His lower body, he's huge. He's really ripped right now. He's running really strong.
His legs look more powerful, don't they?
Yeah, he looks like everyone calls Saquon Quadzilla. He's not quite at that level, but he's big. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. He definitely looks bigger than he has in the past. And, he said that he said the key thing for him in a moment of not being pissed at everybody. He said, no, he wasn't pissed. He was just snippy. Pissed is too strong. But
hey, and some guys find motivation wherever they can find it. And it's a very useful tactic. Guys who can manufacture some drama around them and say, no one believes in me. All these guys call me a second teamer. If that's the way he's flipping in his head, it might work for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I don't see Miles as a guy, but I thought it was really 2 things that really stood out to me were, and he was, he stood for 12 minutes, answered all the questions. He was, it wasn't like he was being difficult. He was just had a little chip to him, a little edge. And, but he did say that he knows how important it is now. And he's in year 4. And it's a lesson, you have to learn that being healthy isn't just rehabbing when you get hurt. It's finding a way to prevent injuries and to be healthier when you are playing. And he emphasized that. He said, I have to take care of myself when I'm healthy, not just when I get hurt. Which tells me he was tells me he wasn't doing a good enough job earlier in his career of taking care of himself.
Maybe. Some of it's been fluky. You break a hand, you can't, unless you're I need to really up my milk regimen. There's not much you can do there.
He did say that. He said, 1%, but no,
he misunderstood Nick when he said 1% better every day.
You thought he meant 1% milk.
Yeah. Are you a milk drinker?
Yeah, I have milk with my shredded wheat in the morning.
Do you?
Yeah.
I've never been a just like, here's a glass of milk, I'm gonna drink it guy.
No, I don't think I've had a glass of milk probably since I was maybe 5 years old, but that was probably chocolate milk. But I like to have a nice bowl of shredded wheat.
I do like a good chocolate milk every once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah. But with my cereal, with some cold cereal, I'll put milk in there. But when I was 18, I worked up in New Hampshire for a summer at this like retreat. And there was we were near Conway, New Hampshire, and there was this bar nearby. It was this real, what's the word for it? Bleep kicker bar, like just,
Gotcha.
Really like tough crowd. And our director would take us there. Like, I don't really know why, because we were all like 16 or 17, but I think the drinking age in New Hampshire back then was like 10. But we would go there, and it was like, just fights everywhere, and it was just the toughest bar I've ever been in. And we were kids, and there was actually a piano in the corner, and I would sit there and play like ragtime barrel house piano and stuff and try to calm everything down. But we made a bet with one of the other guys that worked there that he would saunter up to the bar, slam his fist down on the bar, and go, milk.
Did he do it?
He did it, and the bartender got him a glass of milk, and he sat there and drank it and went back to his business. It was a memorable experience. The name of the place was Slicks, and I still have my Slicks T-shirt. I might wear it for the next pod. But anyway, Miles did talk about, and he's very sensitive about any questions about injuries. But the reality is he hasn't been healthy, and he's got to find a way to change that, because he's never really had a stretch of a bunch of games in a row where he's gotten 17, 18 carries and had, 80, 90 yards. And, if you want to be paid like a top running back, you can't have these gaps in your season every year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, it's not even like, those are facts too. He's missed 9 games over the last 2 years. He's been very good and talented, obviously, when he's on the field, and even if it's, I get the frustration for him, where I broke my hand. What do you guys want me to do? I get all that, but it's the cumulative effect of it, and it's a tough position to play. It is. I mean, there are very few running backs who are playing every game,
right? But
9 in 2 years is a lot to miss.
And that's just the games he's missed. There's been games where he's gotten hurt, he's left early, So the number of games he's played start to finish and been healthy, it's not enough, and he knows that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right, you want to get into the observations from Saturday's practice?
Yep.
Housekeeping stuff first. Same 3 guys are still on PUP. Toth, Jackson, Richard Rodgers will probably be on there for a while. I really actually watched Tyree Jackson a little bit today on a side field. He's moving around pretty well. I mean, he's like 7 months removed from the ACL. So he's working with the trainer on a side field. I don't think it's like imminent for him to return, but he's getting there. He's moving along.
He doesn't have the brace on except when he's on the field, like when he's doing work, which is different than OTAs.
Yeah. First injury of training camp. We don't exactly know when it was. Assuming sometime during the last practice, or it flared up. Milton Williams missed practice on Saturday with an elbow. We don't really know much else about it at this point, so that's something to monitor as we go forward. He's had a decent camp. We've talked about Milton because I feel like he's one of those guys who really fits in both fronts, and he's going to play no matter what. So it's a shame for him. He's had some good moments so far.
And it could be nothing. We just don't know. I mean, he just, they announced these injuries as soon as we're done talking to Nick. So we can't ask him about them. I'm not saying they plan it that way, but I'm not saying they don't. So as soon as we get anything on it, we'll pass it along.
Sure. A new injury on Saturday. Grant Calcaterra, really late in practice, had to hobble off, went to the trainer's tent, went inside. So another thing we'll pay attention to on Monday. We'll see if he's back out there. And the last 2 little bits, Fletcher.
I was just going to say, Dave, it would have been hard for us to miss that one because he walked 3 feet in front of us with a trainer. So if we missed that one, it would have been bad.
Yeah. And then the last little note, Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, both had COVID about a week and a half ago. They took part in team drills for the first time on Saturday.
Yep.
All right. That's all the housekeeping. Let's get to the actual observations. We talked about it on Friday. It was such a bad performance by the offense, and you were hoping, all right, let's see how they respond to this. And early on, it looked good in the first 11 on 11s. It was, Jalen was threading the needle a little bit. His guys were making tough catches. He had that big Miles Sanders run. And then Hurts just made the worst decision of the summer so far. He rolled left, which is something to watch because he's really struggled going to that side. Threw the ball across his body into traffic. It was a poor decision, a poor throw, and he got picked off by Andre Sachare. It was a shame because it felt like he had some momentum going early in this practice, and then just one really bad decision and really bad throw kind of threw it all away.
Yeah, and look, the defense is going to make their plays, but that wasn't really the like I thought yesterday there was some great plays by the defense. I thought this was just a really bad decision by Jalen.
And outside of that, like I thought he was okay.
Yeah.
Today, it was like ups and downs outside of that throw. Some really good throws. He had one. He hit Dallas Goddard. He felt the blitz up the gut from Kaiser White, who they have been using as a blitzer a little bit. Interesting. Keep an eye on that. But he got flushed out, rolled right, threw a dart to Dallas Goddard along the sideline. And he's had a few of those. I mean, there have been good throws. He had another one deep to Quez Watkins that was just out of his reach that I thought was a great throw. I thought Quez might have slowed up a little bit. So there are that one was such a bad decision that like it really was in the front of my mind. But I thought he was okay on Saturday.
I thought today was a lot closer than yesterday.
I agree. He was better.
And really for the whole offense. But obviously the two kind of are very closely related. But I thought, I thought day one offense really dominated. Day two, the defense did. I thought day three was very close, although the defense probably gets the W.
Yeah, I give a tip of the cap to them.
But it was close. It was a lot closer.
It was. But
I thought it was pretty good action today. I thought it was pretty good back and forth.
I agree with that. I thought the defense made plays more consistently. There were a lot of screens today. I think they were trying to work on screens, and the defense was really quick blowing them up. A few guys, like Josh Sweat was there. Brandon Graham was around the ball. TJ Edwards had a few big pass breakups. I just thought the defense won the day. And this was an uncommon. A lot of times early in camps, the defense is ahead. And now they've won 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. So, something to keep an eye on and see what kind of trends we spot as this thing moves forward.
AJ Brown, I wanted to talk about him a little bit. Relatively quiet first 3 days, but on Saturday we finally saw him use his frame to his advantage. And these are things we saw from him in Tennessee. He's a big dude, 6'1", 226, 230 pounds probably. Him boxing out Darius Slay and winning on contested balls is fun to watch. And it's going to help the defense because they're going to face guys like that this year. So getting a chance to deal with them. And this is something Slay brought up in the spring. He was looking forward to facing a big bodied receiver in training camp. And now he's getting his fill.
Yeah. And he's fun to watch talking about Brown. And he's really a different kind of guy than Eagles have had. As far as just his build and his power. I mean, they haven't had many good receivers, period, but certainly the ones they've had haven't really been like him. So it's kind of cool to watch. I wouldn't say he and Jalen are really on the same page yet, but you see flashes of it. You see snippets of it. And when you do, it's like it's definitely a wow type of thing. But that's what training camp's for. And they'll just keep working on it. And I just think he's going to be really, really special.
Yeah, I do too. And you and I were just like shooting the what about this the other day, but having a chance to have a receiver like that in his prime here for multiple years is such a foreign thought. I mean, Deshaun was very good for a long time here, but just a different type of player. you can really feed A.J. Brown. Whereas Deshaun, like, he's going to have great moments and he can break a game and he's a great player, but in a different way. I mean, this is like, and I don't want to compare anyone to T.O. because T.O. is a Hall of Famer, but they can have a volume receiver who's that big and strong and powerful and athletic, but for more than a year and a half.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to think like of a comp, and the best I could do was Irving Fryer.
Yeah,
and that was like a generation ago. But I mean, he was just a strong, powerful. He still is. I mean, gosh, we saw him at OTAs.
He looks like he'd give him 10 to 15 snaps right now.
He probably could, but that kind of build, that kind of muscle, that kind of but still fast enough. I mean, it's not like he's slow. It's just that's not really what his game is built around. It's built around being strong and powerful and out muscling people for the ball and then breaking tackles. I mean, I think people are going to really like watching him.
Yeah. How about this one? Georgia guys today. Good day for the Georgia guys. Jordan Davis got his first team reps. It had been Marlon Tuipulotu for a while, but Jordan Davis was in with the first team on Saturday for the first time. Pretty active. I thought he looked good up there. And then Nakobe Dean for the first time flashed a little bit. He blew up a screenplay. And then a play that I don't know how many people noticed, but Sua Opeta got into the second level to block him, and he was able to shed the block, which is a really big question mark for a 5'11", 230-pound linebackers. Can he get off these blocks? He was able to do it.
Yeah, and I kind of see, like, at first it bothered me he wasn't getting any reps with the ones, but I kind of get it. Just let him get comfortable and let him build up to that. Let him, I think at some point soon we're going to see him with the ones.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though, what's not going to help him is the guys in front of him are playing pretty well.
Yeah,
I mean, TJ's been great. He's his experience really shows. Kaiser, even though he's learning the defense, has made some plays, and even Davion Taylor has looked really good. So it's not like it's going to be easy for Nakobe just to pass these guys.
Yeah. Can you imagine this conversation any other year? Like,
it's so weird.
30 years.
Too many linebackers.
What are we going to do with all this depth? That has not been a problem around here for maybe ever. So, but I mean, I think at some point he's going to get reps. But you're right. It's going to be, and I'll tell you what, you can't play 3-4 if you don't have depth at linebacker. You can't, and they do. That's certainly a reason you can do it, because in other years you just didn't have the talent to do it.
Yeah. Next observation, Gardner Minshew, really good in the intermediate game. That's his strength. He has some good touch on the ball, and he can rifle it in that 10 to 20 yard range. He's really good in that area, and he's someone who I wanted to watch this camp because he wasn't here this time last year. He was a late arrival, didn't get here until right before the season. So this is our first chance to really watch him practice. He does things well, and that's one thing he does that better than Jalen Hurts right now. And that's not a knock on Hurts, because Hurts does some other things much better. But it's fun to watch Minshew throw some of those routes.
Yeah, that's true. And look, he's been a starting quarterback. He's started a lot of games and had success. So it's a good situation to have. And I'm sure Jalen can learn watching Gardner, but yeah, I mean, that's a real strength of his game.
I'm trying to think. In recent history, he's probably the best practice backup they've had in quite a while.
Nick Foles wasn't bad.
Nick wasn't a good practice player.
No,
not really.
Not until he gets to the Super Bowl, huh?
Well, I'm talking about practice.
He didn't stick out to me as a poor practice player.
He wasn't poor. He wasn't very good in practice a lot of times.
Training camp?
No.
He was pretty good.
No. I'll stand on that. He never impressed me.
In 13, he was incredible. He was really good in 12.
Okay. I wasn't here. I guess I'm looking at the last stint he was here. He was not a good practice player.
17, 18?
Mm-hmm.
See, I don't remember that. I remember 12 and 13.
Yeah.
I can't
remember him
you
as a rookie.
Yeah, he was great as a rookie. Yeah, really good camp. But in any case, Gardner is very good. I still think they might trade him. I don't know what your thinking is there.
No, why?
To get
Who's
a
your
pick,
backup?
Carson Strong. I don't know. Reed Sinnett.
No,
I mean,
no. What are you going to get for? Look, if they were to get if you get a second round pick, maybe. But I mean, this is a team with playoff hopes. I wouldn't trade him for a day three pick.
What about a 3?
Third round pick? Maybe, yeah, probably, but not a day 3 pick.
No.
You would have to have someone desperate. I don't know who's going to be that desperate for him because you still have Jimmy Garoppolo available.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying this week, but let's see what happens. And I think Gardner Minshew probably cost a lot less than Jimmy Garoppolo. I just think there's a chance. I mean, look, with Howie making the call, there's always a chance.
But we know how much they value that position. I don't know if they do it without feeling really comfortable with whoever the backup's going to be.
Maybe so. I mean, that does make sense. But, I mean, it's day 3, so we'll see how those other guys pan out. Reed Sinnett has been here he's in his second year, and maybe they feel comfortable with him as a 2 and Strong as a 3. I haven't seen it, but, yeah, just a thought.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, but we'll see. You're right. There's a long time to go.
Yeah.
We had a chance to watch some one-on-one drills, wide receivers versus DBs. Always some really fun drills. I'll just go through a few of the highlights here. Did you watch these?
I did not. I was over at the O-lineman at that point.
Okay. So I'll just break down a few of them. James Bradbury had a big pass breakup on A.J. Brown down the field. Jalen Reagor beat Zach McPherson on a go route. Just beat him clean. Reagor is quietly having a good camp. And I know he's going to give... Well, it's quiet because we haven't talked about it because I think we know the response, but he's going against 2s and 3s. That helps him, but he's playing well, so give him credit. Quez Watkins, man, his change of direction for a guy who was thought to be a straight line runner coming out of college as a 6th round pick. I am so impressed with him at the top of his routes. Like he shook Avonte Maddox in these one-on-ones, and the one-on-ones are geared toward the offensive player, sure. But Avonte's pretty good, and Quez beat him badly. I mean, it was more of a Quez win than an Avonte loss.
Quez has looked good. He's just solid and exciting, and 6th round pick. I mean, it's kind of. But I mean, each year he's been here, he's made big strides. So it's kind of really intriguing what he might give this team this year.
Yeah. The weird thing with him is, I mentioned it the one time, but he had a one-on-one, or not a one-on-one, it was in 7-on-7s, but he was matched up one-on-one against Slay, and I thought he had a step on him, and it seemed like he'd never kicked it into the next gear. And we've seen, it's odd for a guy who has 4.3 speed and is, you know, what I think Madden rated him like 98 on speed, which everyone's all happy about. Sometimes it looks like he doesn't kick it into that next gear for whatever reason. Maybe he's misjudging it because you don't want to overrun it either. But I thought it was a ball where I thought he really had a shot to gain ground and make the play, and it hit off his fingertips.
Yeah. And I think when you have a 6th round pick, there's going to be things that he's just not good at, or he really needs to get better. There's a reason the guy is drafted in the 6th round. So he's still really young. Was he 23 still?
Yeah,
I believe.
Yeah. And he is very talented. I get why Sirianni is so bullish on him.
Yeah. But yeah, there's no question. I mean, we saw it last year where I think what people thought was giving up on a route was just not having – I mean, he's not Deshaun when it comes to tracking a deep ball. I mean, he's pretty good at it, but he's not – you know, he's not elite at it. That's something with that speed he's got to be able to develop.
Yeah. Don't look now. J-Jaw made a play.
He did. It was a pretty cool play. It was a good
We were both standing there. We were next to each other for this one. It was a tough play. The ball got tipped. I didn't see who the defensive back was that tipped it, but he had to basically contort his body in the air and come down with the ball after the deflection. It was a great play. It was a concentration play, which is something that he struggled with in his career.
Right. The longer a play lasts, the worse that rep goes for him. He starts thinking. When he made the play, Dave says to me, Summer of J-Jaw.
Here we go.
Good for him. You know what? He's got a lot of things working against him. It was it's good to see. And the same goes for Rager. Let's be honest. I don't think anyone's rooting against Rager. I think I think both those guys are operating under a tremendous amount of pressure to perform, which they've never done. And
in a way, though, I think the pressure has kind of been removed from them a little bit because there aren't expectations anymore.
Maybe. I mean, one's a 1, one's a 2, and nobody expects them to make the team. Nobody expects them to be here, so maybe they can operate a little freer. But there's jobs on the line, and but it's good to see them both get off to a good start.
Yeah, that's all for the real observations. I had my stupid observations today. It was a fun one.
I like this one.
Yeah, this was good. After Slay got beat by Quez, but couldn't pull in that deep ball, he was gassed. I mean, he was squatting next to the sideline, told the coaches to put someone else in. And he was down. He was panting there for about 45 seconds, which is a long time during a practice. And some of the fans on the sideline were saying, "Come on, Darius, you got this," or something like that. And he's like, in between deep breaths, goes, "It's Slay." So I commend him for his refusal to let that die.
He's consistent. When he ran out on the field yesterday morning, there was a bunch of kids in the stands, and they were chanting, different players' names, BG, Jalen, and they start going, Darius. He goes, no, Slay.
And I mean, chanting Darius is tough.
Yeah, it doesn't
3
roll.
syllables.
Yeah.
But
he just does not like being called Slay.
He doesn't. And hey, I'll call him whatever he wants.
Funny dude. Good player.
All right, let's go stock up, stock down. I'll have a full stock up, stock down written piece on the website this weekend, but we figured we'd toss this around a little bit. Rube, I'll give you your first pick at a stock up player after 3 practices.
Stock up player. I'll go Davion. He's had 3 really good days.
Mm-hmm.
He looks great. I've been really impressed. Just active, athletic, smart, instinctive. Really looks like a player out there. And I don't know what they're going to do with him because there's a lot of linebackers, but he's looked great.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'll give you Marcus Epps. They've really talked him up all off season. And then he's performed well these 3 days. He's the only safety to be with the first team for every rep. They've rotated the other spot between Anthony Harris and Andre Sacheret and Kayvon Wallace. But Epps has been the guy consistently out there with the first team. And I think that's his spot. I think they're going to figure the other one out as they go.
Yeah, and he's lived up to it. I think he's playing well.
Yeah,
he's been really good. So you want another one for me?
Yeah, one more stock up, and then we'll go stock down.
And this is going to sound funny because this guy's made a Pro Bowl, but James Bradbury is really good. And we would see him twice a year when they play the Giants. And I know he was a good player, but seeing him, play and practice for a couple hours or an hour, whatever it is, getting to see all his reps. I mean, he's really good.
Yeah, he's steady, very steady.
Yeah. He's like the Sheldon and Slay's like the Lido, and even personality wise, where Sheldon was really quiet and Bradbury's really quiet. Lido was all over the place, but I've been really impressed with Bradbury. So that's going to be one heck of a combo to watch.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll give you one more stock up player, and kind of in the same vein where it's like, it's not surprising, but Dallas Goddard has been their most consistent player on offense the first 3 days. He's caught, and he's had moments in training camp where he'll have a concentration drop. He's caught everything. Knock on wood for him here, but he's caught everything that's come his way. He is setting himself up for a big season.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And this is the first time he's been in a training camp without Ertz. It's a whole different thing for him. And I don't know how many yards Jalen's going to throw for, and we already have you got 3 wide receivers who could have 1,000-yard seasons. These guys aren't all going to have 1,000 yards, but I could see Goddard in that 75 for 1,000 easily. or 1050, 7-8 touchdowns, Pro Bowl. He's that good.
All right, let's go stock down. We'll go back and forth again. I'll give you the first choice.
Stock down. Well, I went with a third-year defensive player for my first stock up. I'll do the same for my first stock down. Kayvon has struggled. He just hasn't. There's reps to be won at that second safety spot, and I just don't see him in the mix.
Yeah, and Sachere, who he's competing with for a job, has played well, and he got some first team reps over Kayvon. That's kind of flipped, and Andre's deserving of them, but not great for Kayvon.
Sachere had a pick yesterday, one today.
Yeah, back to back days for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you Carson Strong for a stock down. Very limited opportunities so far. He's splitting third team reps with Reed Sinnett, who has been getting more reps than him. And it's clear Strong has the arm to match his name, but sometimes it's an adventure. We've seen him throw 2 deep balls, and they've both been off the mark. So with limited opportunities, you want to see him wow, and you want to see him earn more opportunities, and he hasn't done that yet, but he might be swimming a little bit too. He's a rookie quarterback in his first training camp.
Yeah. And I talked to him after practice today, and I think we were standing together when he sailed that one out of bounds about like 5 yards. And he brought that play up on his own. He's like, I can't do that. Like he said,
that one's much worse than the one he sailed on Friday.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least you got to keep it in bounds.
Yeah. Yeah. He said it's been a challenge. He said it's just, they're throwing a lot at these guys. And you're just trying to take what you're learning and apply it on the field. And he said it's a process. And he didn't seem down on himself, but he did seem kind of overwhelmed. And, he knew this is not going to be easy. But I would agree with, he's on my list of stock down as well, just because if you're only getting a handful of reps, you really got to take advantage of the ones you get.
And it can be tough, especially at that position. Like sometimes you need to get in a rhythm, and you really can't get in a rhythm if you're splitting what's already a minimal pool of snaps to begin with.
Yeah. All
right. Give me one more stock down. I'll give you one more, and then we'll get out of here.
Another stock down. God, it's going to kill me to do this, but it's been a tough few days for Devin Allen. You want to see him be able to. It's not even about catching a ball; it's being able to use that speed that we know he has, and translate it to football speed. And he hasn't been able to do that. He hasn't been able to get off the line of scrimmage. Again, he hasn't played football. And I talked to him after practice as well. And he just he's like, I haven't done this in so long. It's coming back slowly. And, I asked him, did you throw a football or anything over the last 6 years? And he said, like during the pandemic when Oregon didn't play or only had a couple games, I would throw on the field with one of the coaches. Then that's it. So it's a real uphill battle he's facing. And I think over the last few days, we've all kind of seen how uphill it is.
Yeah, that's fair. The last one for me, and sorry to get another track guy out here, is Carrie Vincent Jr. And it's not that he's done anything wrong, but some of the other guys he's competing with have made plays. Mac McCain's gotten a chance to be that kind of next, I don't include Zach McPherson really in that group. He's the fourth corner, but in that next group, Mac McCain's gotten the first crack at it, and he's looked good. Tay Gowan made a play on Saturday, and I just haven't seen Carrie Vincent do anything yet. And that's not a bad thing. It's just I feel like some of the other guys are making plays, and it's tough. He's got to do something to keep pace with them.
Mac McCain's look pretty good.
I agree with that. I was a little surprised, by the way, to see him get that run early over guys like Vincent and Gowan, even, Mario Goodrich or Joe, but he's looked good.
Yep, he has.
All right, you got anything else?
Talked to Britton Covey as well today. It's a great story. I can't wait to write that one. I know everyone's wondering about him. He's what an interesting kid, and Really reminds me of Chad Hall. I mean, it really does. So you guys will see that story in the next couple of days. But it was fun to talk to him. Great kid, and all those guys. I mean, all those guys, Covey, Strong, and Devin Allen. They're all facing astronomical odds. I think is fair to say. They're all
maybe not Strong.
Facing, maybe not astronomical, but long odds.
Yeah,
they're all undrafted. They're all their heads are swimming right now, but they're all great stories in their own way.
Yeah. Talked to Denard Wilson, the defensive backs coach, got a new promotion. I feel like he's kind of the defensive coordinator in waiting, and I'm going to write about that probably for early next week. So keep an eye out for that too. If you enjoy the Eagle Eye podcast, please do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe there as well. That's it for Reuben. I'm Dave. This has been Eagle Eye. Enjoy your Sunday off from us mostly. We'll talk to you next week.